Dhukk the Pierced. This new orc looks absolutely amazing, and this player was able to build him on his account. We want to take him for a spin in a couple places, see what he can do, but I also want to break down his kit to see where he fits in with the other champions that are similar to him. So all that being said, let's jump right into this video. We are going to start with a run of the Dragon 20. We want to see his skills in action. Right there we saw his AoE for decreased defense and decreased attack. Unfortunately, he is not fully booked on this account. I would certainly book him on my own account. In fact, I would probably use him in my Dragon 20 team in replacement of War Maiden, simply because I would get, on top of the AoE decreased defense, also the decreased attack, which would come in pretty handy for, let's say, the boss himself, or even controlling the ads here so that you don't, let's say, lose your cold heart, right? As for his second skill, the AoE provoke, which we saw right there, it is one enemy champion with possibly two other ones. Same thing, I would totally book that skill as well. In fact, I would probably entirely book this champion because I really think he is worth it. But AoE decreased defense, a lot of champions in the game can do this. What he does differently though is that he brings it on a 3-turn cooldown with a 100% chance of success. So here's a breakdown of those types of champions. If I, let's say, remove the legendaries, right? Because obviously we don't all get those. We want to look at the ones that are accessible. We would have had Fleshmonger, which is also magic affinity, but that's a 4-turn cooldown and only a 75% chance of being applied. Then Dhukk the Pierced here is a 3-turn cooldown, like I said, so that is really solid. In fact, War Maiden is the same thing. It's a 100% chance of applying the AoE decreased defense on a 3-turn cooldown. He, in fact, really compares to, let's say, Stag Knight, because on top of the AoE decreased defense, you get the 50% decreased attack. Stag Knight would bring, for example, though, the decreased speed on the A1. He's, however, going to bring the decreased accuracy, which I did not even fill out yet on this form, but that basically means that he's going to be great for the Doom Tower, where we know the accuracy is a big problem, or let's say the accuracy of the bosses are a big problem, so you would want to control them with that, right? He's also a defense type, which I find very nice because Stag Knight is support, War Maiden, let's say, is attack, but he is defense, much like our Tyrell. So I think it would be somewhat on par with that champion, although Tyrell has decreased attack on the A1, but his AoE decreased defense is on a 4-turn cooldown. So again, Dhukk has that advantage of providing it on the 3-turn cooldown, which makes him an absolute must on any roster. If you're just starting out and you got this guy, I strongly suggest that you do build him. So this run is roughly over. We saw there his AoE, the provoke, sorry, but we got the unkillable and the reflect damage. However, provoke is completely useless on a boss, so as you can see, like, not all the debuffs are going to work for you, but decreased accuracy could come in very handy, hopefully prevent some of, let's say, those poisons and whatnot, and again, in the Doom Tower, that could be pretty huge. Alright, now that we broke down his kit and where he could be really good, let's also go try him out in the arena, because AoE decreased defense before your nuker is always a very winning strategy. Now, I don't know this account here, I don't exactly know what I should take on, but let's just try something. It does look like you have some pretty good champions, so we're just going to replace the what's her name, the Madame Ceres, with Dhukk here. I'm hoping that everything is tuned. In fact, this team is probably going to be a joke, but let's still just try it for the heck of it, and then we'll try and find a harder team to really showcase sort of what he can do, right? So we have increased attack right there. We're going to go for our turn meter fill, turn meter reduction on the enemy team, and then here's our Dhukk. We kind of also want to see if he's going to lead with his A2, which I assume he is. Yeah, Lunatic Outburst. All right, so we got decreased defense, and decreased attack. Again, not fully booked, so we're not going to get the full benefit of this, but I think here our Trunda is going to be able to almost kill all of these champions. Again, guys, this is not necessarily an end game account. We're not trying to showcase a perfect Dhukk the Pierced. We're just trying to showcase what he was able to come up with the gear that he has currently on. All right, so there are probably other ways to build this guy, but that is not the point of this video. It's just to have a quick look at what he can do. What about this team right here? You know what, let's give it a shot. Let's hope that we are faster, and we're gonna see what we can do. So same thing, we're gonna boost up with our Arbiter. We are first, that is always good. Then we're gonna do the turn meter fill and turn meter reduction on the enemy team. Let's go for this Lunatic Outburst yet again. We're getting a counterattack. All right, so we got decreased defense on 3 of them. And then let's hope that our Trunda can finish off these champs. Almost. right? So again, we'll fit that role nicely of doing the AoE decrease defense in the arena for you to hit harder with your nuker. We'll also do the same thing for some dungeons. We did the dragon. He could obviously work for probably spider as well. He could probably work for ice golem as well. That would be pretty solid actually. You put the decreased accuracy on the boss, and then that will help hopefully prevent some of the freeze. So again, very useful across the board. Faction Wars obviously being another great example of where this champion can be used, namely because of his aura. So I went in, grabbed his team, literally just replaced one of them and put in this guy. We're gonna see what he can do. So let's put this on auto, and hopefully we don't die. We got the AoE decrease defense right there. Big hit from Dhukk, and then a big hit from Zargala. So what's nice is that Zargala is typically our AoE decrease defense champ for this faction. Now this guy can come in, do the AoE decrease defense, and then you can use your Zargala as your main damage dealer, or one of your main damage dealers. So I think that's pretty solid. Unfortunately, you do want to book to reduce the cooldown so that in the rotation of things, you would come back around for, let's say, the second wave, and you would have that skill yet again. So let's speed this up here. And now we're back to his turn. So we're gonna get that A2 yet again. Let's see how much damage we can get out of it. We did get a little bit of damage. We're not buffed up for this. I suppose this guy can probably hit pretty hard as well if you bring the right buffs to the table, but that is not what we wanted to see. Right now we're sort of using him as a debuffer and also sort of like a crowd control champion to control these waves. Zargala, Seer, and Dhukk the Wanderer would be our main damage dealers, I believe, in this setup, right? So very nice. I think he can do a lot of great things. Hopefully this will allow him to push further in the faction wars. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, he had not completed this stage with 3 stars. So let me speed this up to see if we can finish with all our champions alive. But right there, we do see that provoke working nicely for us. They're all going for that guy, reflect damage, and on top of that, he is unkillable. That is huge. All right, now we're back to his turn, and we're gonna get his A2 with already decreased defense applied on some of these champions. We shouldn't really have any weak hits. We don't have increased defense, but still, this will be a good example of how much damage he can deal with that skill. And we get very reasonable, okay, guys? So imagine with a better setup or better gear. I'm not saying, you know, that this champion didn't do this player, sorry, didn't do a good job, but what I am saying overall is that, yeah, that's 3 stars. Nice. So he got a best time. I even pressed pause a couple times there. So that will help him push the Orcs faction crypt quite far. I love it. Let's finally go over his gear, see what he's all about. And again, like I said, this is not perfect gear. He did his best to put something together a little bit last minute for me. So we're not going to focus on the fact that this is not a full savage setup or thing of the sort, guys. This is just for overall stats. All right. So we have 3.2k defense. Imagine 4.5k defense, almost 200 speed, which is kind of good though, because if he is a debuffer, he needs to be fast enough to go before your nuker. So this speed is quite good, but we do have 91% crit rate, which is huge, 224% crit damage, and 224 accuracy, which is great for most of the PvE content. If you want to do hard Doom Tower, you're going to have to push this a lot further up. You're probably looking at like 350 accuracy, but overall for what he's got right here, I am pretty impressed. For that, we have crit damage gloves. We do have a 6-star defense percent chest and some speed boots. We have a flat defense ring, crit damage amulet, and we have an accuracy banner. As for the rest of the pieces, crit rate, accuracy, which is great, speed, defense percent, crit rate, which is huge, speed, crit rate, HP. So again, he's got a lot of room for improvement, but this is not a perfect setup for this guy. We are not fully booked, like I said before, but here's a quick overview of his kit. Decreased accuracy on the A1. That is huge, especially for Doom Tower. This is good for everything, literally everything. So AoE decreased defense and attack at a 100% chance of being applied on a 3-turn cooldown while dealing a lot of damage. That is really, really solid. Then we have the AoE, sorry, not AoE, but single target provoke with possibly 2 other random enemies with reflect damage and unkillable on this skill right here, which could be booked to a 4-turn cooldown. And that aura, increased defense for the faction crypts. Here are the masteries that he chose. All right, and so there you have it, guys. A quick overview of Dhukk the Pierced, one of the better new champions released in the game. I think he is worth it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Here's a quick overview of his great haul in case you want to compare your stats with his stats. All right, thank you so much, guys, and I'll catch you later.